Hey guys, so what I'm going to talk to you about is something that I watched last night that was probably one of the weirdest things I'd watched in a long time. And what it was a documentary describing how Michael Jackson did not die, how he had planned to fake his death, and all this, it went on forever. And then I looked into it a little bit more, and it's astounding how much information is out there about how Michael Jackson is not dead. It is amazing. Now, just to clear this up, I'm pretty fucking sure Michael Jackson's dead. Okay? I'm sorry, I am. I watched the documentary. One thing about the documentary I watched, which I'll put the name below probably if you want to know the name. I forget what it was. But one of the things that was probably the most astounding about it was how bad it was. And I don't mean that in like a kind way. What I mean is it's like how you would not do a documentary. It was one lady with bookshelves behind her. Here, I'll even show you. Let's see. Yeah, it's like this. Well, Michael Jackson is not dead. The birth certificate says Joe Jackson instead of Michael and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, that's kind of what it was like. Now, there's a lot of interesting information in there. Such as there were two bodies evidently in the helicopter, and it's incredible how much this lady knew about Michael Jackson. But it's one of those weird things where the facts really didn't add up. It's all a bunch of like really circumstantial evidence. It's like they got the middle name in the birth certificate arguably wrong. Michael Jackson had talked about faking his own death, which is a little suspicious, I guess. But, you know, in general, the information was really, really limited, I'd say. And they really didn't have any knockdown proof. It wasn't like they saw Michael Jackson in, you know, New York. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Why did I watch this movie? Because I had heard online that Michael Jackson was supposed to show up on July 11th. Now, I missed that day because I was doing other stuff, but when I watched it yesterday, which was, I guess, the 12th, right? And, yeah, he's not back. Now, why do they say 11? 7-11? I don't fully know. In general, it seems like he was supposed to come back in July, and the information I heard about 11, probably the lady in the documentary did not mention. So, but she said the year was supposed to be 11, you know, 2011 in July. So if he's going to come back, it's going to be like in the next week, basically. And one interesting thing about it is that it briefly goes into Elvis and why people even people that think that he lived now think he's dead because he'd be really old by now. So it goes into that briefly, and how there were part of his name was misspelled on the gravestone. It's actually really interesting how much information they had, but none of it really added up to this person was faking their death as much as it was just a bunch of almost irrelevant coincidences, and they're just putting them together to say this was a plot. And to be honest, it was very well done for being a horrible documentary. I have to say, in a way, it was like watching a car crash. You couldn't turn away. It was probably one of the worst documentaries because they didn't. Number one, all the shots were basically they only moved from 3 shots. Now, should I be the one talking about this? Probably not. But all I'm saying is, if you're going to try to make a quality documentary, you gotta have more proof. You gotta have people that look professional and shit. You know, I think that she did a pretty good job by herself. I have to say that. For one woman basically talking and throwing clips up, not bad. But for a documentary, you need more people, you need more information, you need stuff that people know about. You can't just, not everybody's a super Michael Jackson fan. I mean, I'm just saying, your information was a little lackluster. Your delivery was a little off too. More than a little. I'm just saying, though, it needed to be more professionally done. And I mean, I'm just saying, changing the camera angles even a little bit would help a lot. And that'd be one of my major complaints. I mean, it looked like she did it by herself, which if she did a pretty good job. But if this was like an actual production, I don't know. I didn't look into it, I'll be honest with you. But if this was a professional, production, or, it had some money behind it, this was really poorly done. I hope they kept most of the money that they invested. I think the other problem the documentary had in general is that there's not real evidence for Michael Jackson faking his death, which seems like a small issue with kind of conspiracy theories, if you want to put them in that. I think that I don't like using that term because it blacklists whatever information you're going to say. I mean, it basically ends it. There's no reason to talk about it anymore, and that's unfair. Because a lot of the information, even if they're not true, every once in a while they are, so you shouldn't call them... I don't like calling them conspiracy theories. But her theory, I guess, a theory definitely needs some information behind it. And this one really didn't. And they just needed to get some more information. That's my main complaint. I mean, even for a documentary that is trying to prove something that most people aren't going to consider true, you need more information. Just even to get over that little hill of proof, even if you want to believe it. And I just don't think that they did that. If you want to see one that's considerably better done for pretty cheap, go look up Bigfoot documentaries. I mean, there's tons of them out there, and people, in Washington State, it's like every third person, I think, is supposed to believe that they've known somebody who heard about somebody who saw Bigfoot or something. It's crazy, but and they don't really have any concrete proof. There's no body or bones, and I'm kind of getting off, but they got this belief because of production value, partially. There's a lot of things that go into it also. I'm not going to dwell on those, but I'm just going to try to make my point, which probably is not the best thing to do. But they put time, they put effort, they put up cameras. They watch one of those. There you go. Now I understand this is kind of like a past thing. Go 9/11 truther on it. If you watch any of those documentaries, they don't really have that much evidence, but they're presented in such a way that it's more believable. And that's what I'd say was the big letdown in this one, is that they didn't really they had about as much information as a lot of these other movies do, but it was presented poorly. At least so far. I haven't really looked into it. Frankly, I like watching documentaries in general. I know. I watch the news, I watch documentaries. I must be a really interesting person. Yeah. But, it's just upsetting because I think that if they would have presented it a lot better, golden. It would have been, we'd be seeing people with signs on the street saying, Michael Jackson's coming back. But it was presented poorly, so, nobody's doing that. Anyway, I guess I kind of blathered on there for a while. If you don't think this is accurate, if you think Michael Jackson's alive, hey, I'm still open for information. I really am. I would like for nothing more than to be convinced that he's alive. Now, am I going to say that that's highly unlikely for you to be able to prove that to me? Probably. I mean, I need to have some concrete evidence. Like, this is his fingerprints on a door, after they had wiped it off. You can clearly see him, walking away from the camera or something like that. But if you got it, break it out. I'd like to be proven wrong on this. I'd like to make another movie or YouTube video saying, no, I was completely wrong. No, Michael Jackson's alive. That would be amazing. That'd be badass. If this was all a hoax. Anyway, that's it. Bye.